Stronger.
Imagine a world without choices.
Stronger.
Imagine you can't make your own decision. That wouldn't be a world for me. That wouldn't be a world for you. You, I see.
Tell them we're gonna be stronger. Together we can make it right. Our purpose is a better Jamaica for you and I. Gonna be stronger together. Time we all just unify. Our purpose is a better Jamaica for you and I. It is a natural right for every human being to be free. Free, so free. So the government is there to protect you and me. The objective is to liberate the citizens from colonial bondage, them regulation, them taxation. Rob Jamaica, we independent. Be stronger together we can make it right. Our purpose is a better Jamaica for you and I. We're gonna be stronger together. Come, we all just unify. Our purpose is a better Jamaica for you and I. Non-partisan, constitutional Republic of Jamaica. You see, the sovereignty of every citizen should be protected. Life, liberty and property.
Hello and good night. Welcome to MEK WI FIX Jamaica on UIC Liberty TV. My name is Joseph Patterson, and today I will respond to PM say more SOE but no amnesty for striking public transport operators. Plus, we'll be taking a look at a very, very sad story that deserves our attention right now. As usual, the UIC movement has the answer to this latest problem, because we're not only the People's Party and the Education Party, we're also the Solution Party too. We take the time to study Jamaica's problems from cause to effect, and then build solutions that we know will work, because we're pragmatic, not dogmatic. And as such, we research and study what other countries do right and wrong, then build on them to give Jamaica a more perfect solution. Today, you'll be learning what has caused some of these problems and how the UIC, working together with all of us, can fix it as a nation. So, come MEK WI FIX Jamaica. But first, please do me a big favor. Like, share, and comment on this live so more people can learn about the UIC and how we're going to fix our country and make it into a non-partisan constitutional republic when we're elected. As you should know by now, the oligarchs who fund, control, and own the two colonial parties also own and control the media. And they're working overtime to keep the UIC away from the people of Jamaica. But with your help, we can and must get around them to rescue our country. Make sure, please make sure to hit the notification button and subscribe to this channel right now. Then get all of your friends, all of your family, all of your co-workers to do the same, so that they too will never ever miss an episode of UIC Liberty TV. Okay, now back to the matter at hand. We have two matters we want to discuss tonight. One of them is a sad story, and the other one, well, in a funny way, they're all sad stories, because we're going to talk about a young lady who has some challenges that I hope we can help her with. And we're also going to talk about the government's response to the striking transport operators. Two very sad stories. One that's of a national import, and the other which is more personal. I've been trying to decide which one to go with first tonight, but fortunately, we have with us here the young lady already in studio who is going to share with us her story. And then we're going to get back to discussing the matter of the public transport operators who have been on strike since yesterday, and they're on strike today again, somewhat, and they plan to be on strike tomorrow, I understand. And the government has responded, but not in the way that you would expect a normal government in a so-called democracy to respond to such a very, very important matter as in a public strike by those who transport our citizens around the country. But first, tonight, let me welcome into our studio a very, very dear friend, somebody that I like to spend time with, somebody who has been a major contributor to my personal development, somebody who I have known for many, many, many years. I think I met her, let me see now, let me check. I met her in 1984. How long is that? 1984. Let me do the math on my calculator. I could do it in my head now, but I want to make sure. So we are in the year 2022, and I met her in 1984. That means I've known her for 38 years. And I'll tell you a little secret. I met her in the 8th grade at Spanish Town Secondary, a school for Dunspeakney. I was one of the Dunspeak to them. And so I met her in Spanish Town Secondary in grade 8 in Miss Johnson's English class. And then from then on, we have been friends. Well, first of all, we started out on a rocky road with a nice slap to my face for kissing her. But anyways, none other than Mrs. Charlotte Mesado Patterson, my wife, who's going to join us tonight. Welcome, Mrs. Patterson. How are you doing today?
Hello, I'm doing great. Hello, everyone.
Good to see you. You're looking nice and sprightly tonight. All smiles and beautiful as usual. So tonight we're going to have a talk with a young lady who has fallen on some very bad times. And you know, UIC is about one Jamaica, stronger together, because we like to pull together other people and lend our support to others. But before we go to that story, could you just tell everybody one thing you like best about your husband? I know he's not here right now, but tell us one thing you like best about your husband.
Well, there are quite a lot of things that I love about you, but I think the most important thing is your love for growth. And that's a big topic, but you're always looking for a way to make things better and to make people better. And I think that's an admirable quality.
Thank you so much. You know where it come from is my mother. Now, why am I bringing up my mother now? I'm bringing up my mother because the young lady we're going to talk to, she is going through struggles, some of which are similar to the struggles of my mother. You know, I was born to a single mother we lived in a one-room house, 12 by 12. 4 of us sleeping on one bed, head to toe, with the chimney under the bed. You know how it go. And, you know, she was a strong single mother who really worked hard to put food on the table and take care of her kids. And I admire her to this day. She's my hero. She's my number one superhero because she was truly a superwoman. And so in honor of her tonight, even though we're talking about a sad story, I want the young lady that's about to come on to know that no matter how difficult the situation is, you will get through it. You will make it through. Just be committed, be forthright, be honest, be genuine like my mother was. And look at what amazing job she has done with her children. All of her children has come out well, even though she started out life in such a very desperate situation. And so tonight we're going to talk to a young lady who's facing desperate situation. And I know that she will find a way. God will make a way for her. and God works through people like you and me. We are the hands, the ears, and the eyes of God to our fellow human beings here on earth. So tonight, Mrs. Patterson, could you tell us a little about the lady we're about to speak to? I know you've been talking to her, but give us a general highlight of who she is from your perspective, not her story, but just what you think of her, having been speaking with her for some time now.
Right. Well, Mrs. Johnson got in touch with us about 2 weeks ago. She reached out, and her opening line was, "Can you help me?" But in a funny way, the way she asked the question, it wasn't a pleading for sympathy. You know, she sounded very well composed, and she sounded together, but I could hear a sense of genuineness in her voice. You know, to be very honest, sometimes from time to time, people will call you and will tell you a story, but the story really isn't true. And so just from speaking to her, I get the sense that this wasn't one of those stories. You know, so it was a plea for help, but you can tell that this woman had a situation that went outside of her control. And so it kind of spurred me to say, you know what, as much as UIC doesn't have the money to give to you, I want us to do something for you in the way of getting you onto our program where we can bring you on and let you tell your story to the world pretty much and see who is willing to reach out and give you a hand, because I think it's well deserving for her.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So let's welcome into the studio now Miss Nivea Johnson. Welcome, Miss Johnson. How are you tonight?
Good night, sir. Okay, I'm fine.
Thank you for joining us. And I know you're going to be a little bit nervous, but it's okay. You're among friends. We're here for you.
Okay.
We're here with you. One Jamaica, stronger together. So, Miss Johnson, begin by just telling us a little about yourself, who you are as a person, where were you born? Don't tell us exactly where you live, because I don't want people to rush to your house or anything, but just a general idea about who is Nivea Johnson.
Well, my name is Nivea Johnson. I'm from Trelawney. I'm currently still living in Trelawney. I have 4 children. I'm a single mother. One father. I have 4 kids of 4 different fathers. Only one father is helping at the moment. So, unemployed at the moment.
Okay.
You know, trying to make ends meet without a job, to send my kids to school, to take care of them with, you know, spinal injury and all of that.
Right. Understood. Understood. So what year were you born, Miss Johnson?
I was born September 10, 1983.
1982, you said?
83.
83. And how old are you now?
I am now 39. The 10th of September, I'm gone this year.
Mm-hmm. And where did you go to school?
I went to Granville Primary in Trelawney. Then I left.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Falmouth Infant, Falmouth Salvation Army. Then I left and I went to Granville Primary. It was Granville All Age then. And then I went to Montego Bay. No, it is now St. James High. I went to St. James High School. And I went to Kelly Lawson Training Center, where I trained to do housekeeping.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you learned to do housekeeping.
Yes. Yes, and I have 2 certificates in housekeeping.
Wonderful. And tell us a little about your work background before your injury. What kind of work were you doing?
Pardon me?
Could you tell us a little bit about your work background? What kind of work did you do before your injuries?
Okay, before my injury, I used to work at Starfish, which is now Royalton Hotel. I used to work at Bracco Hotel, and then I moved on to security. But before security, what did you do again?
That's fine. I just wanted to get a little understanding of your work history.
Yeah, I can't remember between that timing, but I did security was the last one before my injury.
Right. Okay. Understood. And when did you, as a matter of fact, I'm going to kind of switch a little bit. I want to show a few clips of you, of your situation. But before I do
Yes,
that, I
thank you.
want to ask, I'm going to ask Mrs. Patterson to kind of walk you through what has happened and what brought you to where you are now, and give us an understanding of that. Mrs. Patterson, could you take over, please?
Okay, Mrs. Johnson. So I'd like you to tell our viewers how your accident happened. I know we spoke about it, and you mentioned that you were in a
Yes.
taxi. So it was a normal time
Yes.
for you. Life was, going normal. You're coming home from work. Tell us
From
what
work.
happened. Yes.
Okay. I was, say, 2 months pregnant, coming home from work after 7 one night, and the 27th, no, I think sometime in January. I don't 100% remember the date. Sometime in January,
That's all right.
and I was 2 months pregnant, and right at RB Beach in Montego Bay, the car
Mhm.
brakes at the stoplight. I was like seriously tired, and I was like leaning back like this on the headrest in the back of the car. I was like praying because every time I see the car crumbled. So I was like, oh Jesus, take me home safely because I'm really tired. And it was me and my 8-year-old daughter. And I was like seriously tired. So I was like there praying and praying. And right just at the moment, and I was like about to say amen to raise my head, I feel a whoom. I hear the woman, I feel the pressure, and I was flung forward. And it rocked me back again, and can like lick again, and it fling me forward again, and I like rock back, and then it lick you again the third time. Yeah, I was like I feel like this, and that's when I realized it was an accident because I wasn't like I was so tired. My brain was so tired. I wasn't like 100% conscious. I was like leaning back talking to God at the moment, and like I don't know if I was dozing off or anything, but in my head, conscious now I was talking to God and asking for protection to bring me home safely. And that happened then. People from the fishing area started coming to where they like because it's right at the stoplight, and they're like taking out. There was 2 persons in the front. They were taking out the 2 persons out the front, and it's like, "Is everyone okay? Is everyone okay?" There's there's a little girl, but my daughter was not sleeping. So they asked, "Are you okay?" And she said, "Yes." They asked me if I'm okay, and I said yes. And they said, it was on my side that got a hard hit. So they said I must not move. Right then and there, they called the police and they called the ambulance. They came. I wasn't badly injured. There was no bruises, no cut or anything. So they asked if I could walk and all that. So they will and assist me. The police and the ambulance people them assist me to the police car. Right then and there now, they took all of us that was in the car to the Carroll Garden police station. And when I was
So you
there, they
were
were
taken
like,
to the hospital, Miss Johnson. You weren't taken to the hospital. You
no,
were
I was
taken
not taken to hospital. No, I was taken
Okay.
to the police station
Okay. Go
because
ahead.
none of us has any bruises. And at that point in time, I didn't know I was damaged. When I went to the police station, the police asked me if I'm feeling any pain. And I said to him, I'm not even sure. My body is numb and I'm so frightened. So I'm not even sure. He said I must go to the bathroom and check if I have any bruises elsewhere. And that's when I said to him, I'm pregnant. And he said, like, seriously, okay, go to the bathroom and check if you're passing any blood or anything. So because at that moment I wasn't passing any blood or anything, he said, it's okay, they're gonna take a statement from me. And that was like some minutes ago, like after 8, after 9 when I was at the station. And they didn't finish with me until like 11 minutes after 1 the next morning. So that's when somebody took me home. I was okay, and I thought everything was okay because I wasn't like bleeding, I wasn't feeling any pain then or anything. But when I reached home, I just go straight to my bed. When I woke up the next morning, I realized my body was feeling a bit stiff. So I fight the feeling and I still proceeded to go to work. When I reached work, the pain started there. I was like feeling pain all the way in the area, in my hands and everything. And I feel
So
my hands
just one
starting
moment,
getting
Miss
stiff.
Johnson. So on the day of the accident, you were taken to the police station, but at no time
Yes, I
were
was
you
not taken.
examined.
No,
So the
I was not.
ambulance
I
was
was
there
taken.
and you weren't examined while you were at the
No.
police station, and then you were sent home after, still not being
Yes,
examined
miss.
at all.
Yes, miss.
Okay, all right, carry on with your story.
On the next day, when I was at work and I started feeling stiff and all that, the young man that caused the accident, because he he said he was coming too fast and lost control of the car.
Mhm.
So it was too late for him to brake to stop at the stoplight. So he stopped in at the vehicle back. So he was at the station. He was questioning me, where do I work and all that. Because I was pregnant, he was showing concern. So when I told him everything, the morning while at work, and I was feeling, start feeling pain, he, the other security said to me, someone come to see me. I said, tell him to come because I was so in so much pain. So he came to the meter room and he asked me what happened. And I told him. That is when he said to me, do you want to go to the doctor? I said, yes. I did not refuse. He gave me, he said he don't want to carry me. He gave me $4,000, 4,000 Jamaican dollars, and said to me, I must go and see a doctor to get checked to see if the baby is okay and if any damage. I went to Dr. Sonang in Montego Bay. It was in near some shops right there. So when I went there, he said to me, when I explained to him that I was pregnant, he said to me, there's nothing I can do. I can only give you some mild 500 mg Panadol to go home. Because you're pregnant, so we can't do anything to you.
Mhm.
And I took the Panadol and I went home. I came home. That was a Saturday. The Sunday morning when I woke up, I realized my body was so stiff. I couldn't stand. I couldn't hardly help myself. Then I had to creep on my knee. I couldn't stand up any at all. The Monday I was here at home, I called the boss and I told her what was happening to me. She said, okay, it takes 2 weeks off. The Monday I was here, still couldn't stand. I couldn't help myself. I didn't know I had spinal damage then. So I just couldn't walk. The Tuesday, in the same situation, the Wednesday morning, I started feeling a pain through my chest, going through my back. And I wake up and realized I could not stand. So I said to my sisters, oh, this pain is so hot, and I start crying. And I hooked like this, and I couldn't straighten out. That is when I decided to go to the Falmouth Hospital. When I went there and I told them everything, they said they can't do any tests, real tests right now because I'm pregnant. So they don't want to put me through any radiation or the baby through any radiation. But that was what one doctor said. Then he went outside and called the next doctor, and the other doctor said, we can't do something for her because she can't stand up straight, she can't straighten out or anything like that. So we have to do something. That's when he put me to lay on my tummy, examine my spine, and said they're going to take chances to see what is wrong with my back. Because of the accident, we're going to see if everything is fine. That is when they realized that the disc in my back, 4 of them were slipped out. My spine was damaged. He said to me, they can give me some pain medication and send me home because there's nothing they can do because I am pregnant and the belly was young. Said, okay, I took it and I came home, but it didn't help. I was there in pain for months and months and weeks and months. And I keep on taking pain medication.
At the time when the doctor realized that the spine was damaged, no tests were done?
Yes, they did a test to see, and they said that it was the spine.
Right.
It was
And then they just told you that they're going to give you some medication.
Give me some pain medication and send me home. I came home still in the same situation, still pain. I couldn't wash, I couldn't cook, I couldn't help myself. My hands was like this in my stomach. Let me show you. My hands was like this. Only in my stomach. This hand was like this, and this hand was like halfway here. Like here. Yes, I was,
Was that posture visible when you were with the doctor? Could the doctor see that?
No. After I came home and I started taking the pain medication, the situation started getting worse. I couldn't feed myself. I couldn't
take medication. You started seeing.
Yeah, because they gave me DPH, Panadol, the liquid Panadol, and the 500 tablets Panadol. That's all they gave to me. So I was like during this condition for like 2 weeks. My sister gave me about to, keep on pumping and pumping, and then it was so unbearable. And I went back to the hospital. They gave me 2 prescriptions. That time, I didn't fully stop work. I was unable to go to work as should because of my spine. They threatened to fire me during my condition, and I got so upset. and we had an argument at my workplace. Me and the manager have an argument. So she go to the bigger heads and they said give her some time because she made an accident and she's damaged. So we have to give her some time to heal. She's a good worker. We don't want to lose her. So they're gonna work with me to get through. And then
Miss Johnson, I want to
Yes, sir.
understand something here. How long is this now? From the time that you're injured to this point?
10
where are we?
years. 10 full years.
10 years. So 10 years.
10 years. Yes,
Now,
my daughter is now 10.
During this 10-year period, how long have you been unemployed now?
2016. Let I tell you. 2019. I was doing domestic for 5 years with a very good friend of mine. She not really domestic. She like let me help her through out with her house, and she pay me like for 5 years. 5 years. Because she's the one, because I couldn't do anything hard after I leave that job. She's the one who took care of my kids and everything. So I just like grant her back a favor to clean her house and she pay me. And I was working at was in domestic at Holland His State in Trelawney.
Yes.
But then I stepped in the house and didn't know what was in the house and I fell and I got damaged again.
Right.
I had a C-section because of the accident.
Yes.
They do a C-section to take my child. So when I fell in the house at Alan, the C-section get tear inside, get infected. And they never want to give me anything. They must say, oh, you're not a staff. So honestly, I just went maybe 1 way buy my medication and I didn't go back. They said there's nothing they can do. So the lady take me full time.
Let me understand now. So how long now have you been without work, where you're not working for anybody? Are you
from 2019
until
now? And like somebody will call me and say, oh, you can come clean my house, but I can't do anything hard. I can do mild. I can like wash or lift up anything heavy. I can't do anything hard. I can do a lot of bending and I can do a lot of standing.
Right. So basically, you can only do very, very gentle work.
Simple.
Yes,
simple.
Anything heavy.
Yes, simple.
All right. So now, for 10 years, you have been suffering because of this accident. Right? Am I correct?
Mr. Patterson, I'm not hearing you.
Oh, sorry. How is this? Can you hear me now? Is this any better?
Yes, it is.
Right. So I was
yes,
saying
I'm hearing.
now, so for 10 years, you have been suffering because of this accident, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I want to now turn attention to your living condition. Before you say another word, I'm just going to show on screen what your living condition now looks like so that people can have an idea and see. So give me 1 minute here before you say another word. I just want people to see the condition under which you are living. So this is a part of your house. Walk us through this. What are we looking at here?
Okay. The part of the 2 pillow. This is where I'm living. The 1 room with my children. I have 4 daughters. 3 is living with me. 1 is with her dad in Hanover. 3 is with me. A 17-year-old, a 10-year-old, and an 8-year-old. They are living in here. This 1 room with me. This is the hall.
Yes.
Yes, this one because this is the hall. As you can see, not even door drop off. It is.
So this middle piece of picture here now, this middle piece that we're looking at, this is
the middle piece. Is the hall? Yes, it's the hall.
And the other piece on the other side, that is another part.
This side, yes, the 1 room. Everywhere that is in blue, it is inside the 1 room.
Now this house is a family house, right?
Yes, sir.
But it has fallen into gross disrepair because it was your mother's house before?
It was my grandmother's house, and my grandmother died and left me and our mother, and my mother died last year, September.
Okay.
Yes.
So it has passed down from generation to generation, but due to lack of funds, you have not been able to fix it up.
Yes, sir. I'm there now as the eldest one.
Yeah.
But because of unemployment,
it's deteriorating. It's all around you. It is deteriorating around you. Bottom line, right? Now I want to just quickly walk our viewers through it, and you tell us what's going on here as well. So here's the next picture that I want to show. So this is another view. What are we seeing in this picture? There are three
Okay.
pieces in here. Mhm.
Okay. This piece here with the door is the door that is falling. The middle piece is the door that I go and come through the where I'm living. This is the one door that is active because I have to use the settee that I sleep in to block off the other door because the room is not that big enough. So I
Right.
sleep in the settee and put my daughters on the bed.
All right.
This
And
this
this
here
picture
is the
oh, sorry, yeah.
this piece here is in the the siding, the back of the
Yeah.
hall.
Back of the hall. Okay. And then this picture now, we're seeing the roof, I think, and the floor. That's what I'm
Yes.
seeing here.
This is a room behind my room that is adjacent to my room. That this is where my interest lies. That this room is the reason that I ask you for help to assist me to fix so I can put my daughter around there. My daughter's around there so I can have a little more space because I have no space.
Right.
So
So right now it's the
yes,
four of you pretty much in the one
yeah,
room. And you'd like to
yes, sir.
fix up this room, which is to pretty
Yes,
much do some work to the roof, some work to the door, the wall around,
yes.
and just make it habitable, and the floor as well, right?
Yeah,
Some
it is
flooring,
it has
yeah. So
from the
quite a
top
bit
to the
of.
bottom is, pardon me?
Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. From the
Oh,
top
from
to
the
the
top to the
bottom.
bottom is done, finish.
Hmm. And this is another look at the home you're living in.
Okay.
So let us know. I want our viewers to chip in now on the matter here. You're in a serious condition, and I'm going to ask persons to send some money to help you to fix up your home. You really don't want a handout, but you're in a very desperate position right
Yes,
now.
sir.
And so I'm going to appeal to all of you who are watching this program tonight, and even those who are not watching it right now, but will watch it tomorrow or the day after. You see this number on the screen for Nevia Johnson, 876-362-2505. I'd like for you to contact her directly and donate something towards helping her. It doesn't matter how small it is. You can send it by Western Union if you're overseas. She will provide you with a bank account if you reach out to her locally here in Jamaica, and you can transfer the funds to her. But I'm asking each and every one of you to please, um, you know, we can't help everybody in the world. We know that. There are lots of people who are struggling. Ms. Johnson is just one of many Jamaicans who are struggling really hard. We see it every day, but her situation is really dire. You see the condition of the home. You see the children that she has to deal with. I'm not showing their faces because we don't want their faces to be on here. But let us reach into our pockets and give her anything we can. Nothing is too small. 5 US, 10 US, 20 US, 100 US, whatever you can send to her, Jamaican dollars, 5,000, 10,000. Let us give her whatever we can and help her to push forward. It's not going to solve all of her problems, but let's at least help her to fix up the house for herself and the children. It's family land, it's a family home, so we know that she's okay on the land, but let's help her to get some board, some lumber, some zinc, and some flooring, do some electrical work where necessary, and to be able to lead a semi-decent life. I think we have a caption here with her number. I'm going to put it on screen for you. 876-362-2505. 876-362-2505. Reach out to Nivea Johnson and give her a helping hand. And Miss Johnson, we wish you all the best. We're here for you.
Thank you.
We can't promise you any big money or anything, but we will do our best to support you and help you over this big hump in your life at the moment. Mrs. Patterson, any last words before we let Miss Johnson go?
I just want to thank Miss Johnson for her courage in coming to make her situation known. And I just want to highlight that she seems like we've just met on the phone, so I don't know her personally, but she seemed to be a reasonable person. She asked almost with tears, saying that I just need to get one room fixed. I'm not asking you to fix the entire house. So she just wants that one room to be repaired enough so that her daughter can be in that room and give them a little bit more comfort. And I think that's a reasonable request.
Yes. Any last words, Miss Johnson, before you go?
Sir, the last word is I'm trusting God. For this
Amen.
past time and life, I've been living and trusting Him to make a change in my life and my children.
Yes.
And
Thank you.
anyone who is willing to assist, I ask God to cover and to protect them. Anyone that prays for me for a better life, I ask God to cover them, protect them, to touch their family also.
Thank you. Miss Johnson,
Mr.
Alan Scott is asking. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I don't know you and
Go
your
ahead.
wife, but God bless you so much
Thank
for
you very
highlighting my
much.
situation.
Appreciate that. And God bless you too. And before you go, Mr. Alan Scott is asking, how did you hear about the UIC?
I heard about the USC through Corona time.
During the
Yes.
pandemic time. Okay.
Yes. When my one of my daughter's father, the one that I'm talking to now, the third one father,
Yeah.
I was in Montego Bay when he said to me, you see what happened in Kingston? So I said, no. He said, you know this third party president? I said, no, I don't know. He said, yes, man, he's in JOSEPH Patterson. Me listening, I watch him in my protest and watch him, and then that's where I went on YouTube. But I didn't send things. I went on Telegram and I saw everything, and that's when I started watching everything about you.
All right.
Yes, and then
Thank you. Yeah.
I didn't have a number for you then, but through the security protest the other day,
Yes.
I was going through Telegram also, and I saw you post a letter. They post a letter in Telegram with your number on it. That's where I got your number.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks for letting us know. And we're glad that you reach out to us. And we're very happy that you can meet the rest of the UIC family. There are many of us right across the world. We have people in Australia, Japan, Sweden, Cayman, North America, Europe, England, so on. So we're all over the place. And I'm hoping that a number of us will find the opportunity to send you a little thing so you can do some work on the house.
Appreciate
All right?
it.
Yeah, man. So you
Appreciate
take
it.
care now. Have a good night, and we'll be in touch. Take care.
Okay.
Thank you, and God bless you.
God bless you too. All the best, my sister. All right. Well, thank you very much, Mrs. Patterson, for joining us tonight and for participating in this part of our presentation. I hope everyone will reach out to Miss Johnson, 876-362-2505, and give her a helping hand. All right. So, Mrs. Patterson, stick around. We're going to now go into another segment of our program tonight, and I might have to call on you again to share with us some of your lovely smiles. So hang in there. Be right back with you. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to switch our attention now, and we're going to talk about something very important, which is the matter of the Prime Minister's response to the strike and how that is evolving right now. It is becoming a bit of a habit right now for people to be striking in Jamaica. You would have seen that we have had a number of strikes in recent months, and this is just one more. And the question is, where will it stop? What is causing all of these strikes? So let's talk about the PM saying more SOEs but no amnesty for striking public transport sector workers. I want to give you a little bit of flashback to yesterday and what led to what the Prime Minister had to say today. So I want you to see what happened yesterday, and then we're going to look at what led the Prime Minister to to say what he said today. I find it rather interesting what he had to say, because it has significant meaning, the way the Prime Minister has chosen to respond to the actions of the public transport operators. They decided to strike after numerous attempts to reach the Prime Minister to get some form of redress for their complaints, for the excessive ticketing, the high cost of those ticketing, and their inability to make payments in short order, given that we're all coming out of lockdowns that the government imposed, an economy which has been ravished by government policy, global and local, and a situation where the taxi operators and bus operators, like all the rest of us, are suffering from high inflation costs. We're suffering from all kinds of challenges to our personal economic position. But the Prime Minister has no remorse, he has no heart, he has no concern for the suffering of the Jamaican people. He simply wants his pound of flesh. And his position is, you owe the money, pay up. He has no concerns about the cause. Why is it that there are so many tickets being issued? Why are so many tickets outstanding? He has no concern about that. He doesn't care if the system is broken and needs fixing. All he wants is his pound of flesh. But let's take a few seconds to watch what led to his comments today. Take a look.
Scores of public transport operators roll out their traffic tickets, outstanding traffic tickets, as they demand a traffic ticket amnesty. And commuters are again feeling the hard pinch as a result. Buses and taxis parked and closed. Commuters stood for hours, while taxi operators are firm in their decision for an amnesty. On the heels of taxi and bus operators' strike, several stakeholders, including members of the United Independence Congress, joined to support the extended deadline to pay up outstanding traffic tickets. Spokesperson for the United Independence Congress, Nadine Cunningham, stresses the need for the government to consider the amnesty for operators.
We stand in solidarity with the taxi operators. We believe in fairness and equity and in the integrity of good governance. We also agree with the taxi operators for the amnesty program, and that a level of understanding is set and wipe the slate clean. The government must ensure consistency.
After several hours under the scorching sun, one commuter disclosed how the withdrawal of service has impacted her movement.
It is affecting me because I have my children to go to school, and it is going to slow down the production. And if they could come to a mutual solution with the government and make it go before the 3 days.
One taxi operator that serves the corporate area sought to justify reasons for the strike.
It's not saying the taxi operator get the tickets. It's the moment we meet up in some difficulty, like some family issues and even car problem, and you don't know, say, when the car is sick, it is the first priorities because it is the food basket. So we have to sort out the car, and more time when we meet up in these problems, like the ticket dates them pass and everything. So we just plead to the government for amnesty.
Also, a member of the Jamaica Association of Transport Owners and Operators say pressuring public transport operators to pay outstanding tickets will contribute to crime build-up across the island.
Now for their children are outstanding, their friends are outstanding ticket. So when you turn 1 point admin and people into criminals overnight, what do you think going to happen? They have enough place to put us?
The protest was not only unique to Kingston and St. Andrew, as it spread outside of the corporate area. Over to you, Javine.
Thanks, Nicola. Now, as you just heard from my colleague, the protest has stretched outside the corporate area. Early this morning, taxi operators left commuters stranded in the town of Maypen. Commuters were left hanging in the town of Maypen Monday and were forced to find alternative modes of transportation. This as taxi operators were adamant to take a stance regarding the traffic ticket amnesty. Operators tell our news team they too are no stranger to the harsh treatment from police officers.
Every day we get tickets. We don't have no park, nothing at all. Every time a police here, they just stop you and give you a ticket. Anyway, in the town, them here, we just get abused. Anyway, in the town, there is nothing for we taxi man. We are just working every day and nothing for it. No, every day police just take set power in the real life. We're tired of this. We need a change.
Another taxi operator says the town is lacking a decent parking area for them, noting the current conditions of the park is not conducive.
In order for this justice to combine, they need a better park. So we have somewhere to park and load and somewhere properly too, where people them would want to go. Because round at the park round there, so nobody want to go around there, so. Nobody no want to go around there, so. You understand me? No chum no round there. Round the cluster. And round there no safe because nobody now going in the night. People are going to start get robbed.
Shirley Johnson, president of Central Manchester Taxi Operators, says though the parish was not heavily impacted by the strike, a more organized plan should have been in place. He notes his concern was for students who rely on the operators.
We did not know about it till last night. A lot of us didn't hear about it until last night on the news. And I don't think it was the best way to go about it. To the schoolers who they have to go to school, they have to go home. And when we do things like this, just hot like that, it really affects a lot of persons.
CVM Live understands that taxi operators in St. James also staged a protest at the Sangster International Airport. However, the protest was interrupted.
Meanwhile, the protest is also breeding crime. My colleague Veronique Bowen assesses that angle.
Javine, this taxi and bus protest is different from the ones we've been witnessing earlier this year, in that we're observing quite a bit of violence attached to this demonstration. Videos have been circulating on social media showing operators being intimidated due to the fact that they've opted to continue working.
While the streets were filled with stranded passengers desperate to get to their respective destinations, transport operators remained steadfast in their decision to strike. Just when some passengers were about to get relief, angry operators swarmed the vehicle into which they were seated and ordered them out. Other operators who defied the group's decision to strike were met with threats, assault, and damage to their vehicles. The operators who are protesting for a ticket amnesty say every taxi and bus driver must adhere to the decision or else.
Right or wrong if you there, right or wrong if you there. Right or wrong if you there. What you mean, who pay for it? No bread, nobody like him bread. Bread, nobody like him bread.
Meanwhile, we understand that some operators have resorted to hiding while they continue to run their trips. This element of intimidation has infiltrated the strike that operators say will continue for as long as it takes the government to respond favorably.
This level of anger that we're witnessing stems from operators believing that if gunmen can get an amnesty, so should they. Veronique Bowen reporting for CVM Live.
Okay, there you have it. Let me just clear this out here. CVM, by the way, mischaracterized the strike as in, leading to violence and so on. But there are some clear things coming out of this situation so far. If you notice at the very beginning, the UIC was on standby. We were present to express our position on the matter. And we stood with the public transport operators against bad governance. And all of this is really due to bad governance, as I will be explaining to you in more detail. One of the things you're going to see, if you really look at the situation properly, you'll notice, and you might not notice it because you're not fully aware, but in general, there is no clear public transportation policy. The Jamaican government over the last 78 years, okay, two parties who have been in power for 78 years have failed to develop a clear, efficient, and effective public transportation policy. The result of that is an improper planning of the public transportation sector and poor management of the sector. Those are the underlying conditions that have created what you now see as a messy and disruptive and sometimes violent situation. Now, if you don't have a policy that clearly plans drop-off and pick-up points, that is going to result in a lot of unfair ticketing as well as corruption among the police and operators in terms of ticketing. You have some police officers who have taxis and buses on the road, and they run with exemption from being ticketed for breaking the law. The law, however, is an unjust law because no provision has been made, or no adequate provision has been made for where taxi operators, for example, should stop and pick up and let off customers. Now, the customers are all over the place. And if you designate an awkward place for them to walk to, they're not going to walk to it. And if one person is going to break the law, a bad law, by the way, and get away with it, then others are going to try to do the same. And then you get a spiraling effect of multiple failures and multiple tickets. Now, the government, realizing an opportunity, have been exploiting an opportunity. It's an opportunity for the government to gain a lucrative source of revenue. Yes. So the government is resorting to legalized extortion by creating a bad system that generates crime, meaning taxi operators breaking the law because of their poor planning and poor design and poor management. Then the very government sends out the police to act as its surrogate in extorting taxi drivers and operators. Yes, legalized extortion. That is what the government is engaging in. Now, there's also corruption in the system of how they award taxi operator licenses. Now, because it's a corrupt system of awarding licenses, this leads to a lack of proper route planning. When you're planning routes for taxis and buses, you need to be doing so intelligently. It needs to be based on demographics, population density, motion studies, other geographical boundaries that must be considered. All of those factors must be brought into play when designing the system in order to decide how many licenses to issue and for what areas are going to issue those licenses. But because Jamaica runs so much on corruption, a lot of the energy and effort of these public servants that we have are not being directed towards planning and managing efficient and effective systems to optimize the customer experience in Jamaica. Instead, it's about optimizing illicit gains, illicit profits for a few by benefiting from not having a well-designed and well-managed anti-corrupt system of public transportation. Now, if you step back a little bit now and think about this from a business standpoint, once a person goes into the industry, to operate in the industry, there are some glaring factors that is going to affect your operation within the industry. First and foremost, you look at the current fees, which are set by the government. So the government sets the rate that these taxi operators and these bus operators can charge. Fine, they set the rate. But even though the government sets the rate, they pass on to these taxi operators some seriously high cost of operations. One of them is the high cost of gas. In the last 2 years, gas prices have gone up tremendously. Then there's the cost of maintenance, maintaining your vehicle. Now, the government has typically failed to design, build, and maintain good roads. Now, because of their failure to do so, that adds an enormous cost to operating a public passenger vehicle in this country. Even to operate a private passenger vehicle is very expensive, as I know. So here you have the high cost of maintenance caused by bad governance. You also have not only the high cost of gas caused by international gas prices, but because of a corrupt petrojam, there's higher cost of fuel to these operators as well. So watch me, high cost of gas, high cost of maintenance due to bad governance, including bad roads. Then there's the high importation duty cost for these vehicles and for parts. So that too pushes up your cost of operation. Then there's licensing, fitness, registration, and a myriad of other costs which are compounded by corruption in the system, and further compounded by the extortion through the police system, the government having legalized extortion to be ticketing at every turn. And that is why you see many of these taxi operators and bus operators having a Bible of tickets build up. You'd say to yourself, how is that possible? How is it possible for a person to have a litany of tickets if you have a good system? If you have a good system and those tickets were legitimate and the system was working properly, after you get a few tickets, 1, 2, 3 that you haven't paid, you would not be able to continue to operate. But no, because of their inefficiency and ineffectiveness, you have persons having tickets for years. Worse than that though, you have a system whereby persons actually do pay their tickets, but the system is saying the ticket is still unpaid. And those persons have to go to court and still go to court after they've already paid the ticket. Now, when they go to court, they're losing time on the road. Now, because of this inefficient and ineffective system that is costing operators a lot of money, that incentivizes a lot of the bad behaviors you see on the road. So all that bad driving is a taxi operator trying to survive in a very poorly designed model. The model is corrupt, the model is wrong, the model is inefficient, the model is poorly designed, and because of all of that, we today are reaping the consequences of such poor management, poor planning, bad governance all around. That is the problem, my friends. Now, how has the Prime Minister responded to this problem? How has the Prime Minister responded to this problem? Let's take a look and see how the Prime Minister has responded to a problem that is made by the government, created by the government. But here's how the Prime Minister chooses to respond to this problem. Let's take a look. So here's how he has responded to the problem.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have. The bulletin. State of public emergency declared in 5 parishes and the corporate area. Todd's president to meet with Transport Minister over strike action by taxi operators. And later in sports, Jamaica Scorpions advance to CWI Super 50 Cup semi-finals. Thanks for joining us. I'm Shane Masters and here are the details. We begin with news that the government has declared states of public emergency in 7 parishes. Now, the announcement was made at a press briefing at Jamaica House this morning. TV News editor Janella Persus was there and joins us live. Janella?
Thank you so much, Shane. Before we throw to the audio bites from the press conference, I want to provide our viewers with some context. Now, 2022 will go down in the history books as one of the bloodiest on record. As at November 13, 1,360 murders were committed. That's a 6.8% increase when compared to the same period last year. Now, Prime Minister Andrew Holness stated that the government has been left with no choice but to implement the security measure.
Wow. So we have now had this government in place since 2016. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. 7 years, 6 years plus. This government has been in place and they still cannot fix the crime problem. Still can't fix the crime problem after 7 years. Now, it's not just 7 years though, because Mr. Prime Minister has been in Parliament for over 25 years. And there are many others who have been there longer than him. And his party has been there for more than 79 years. Yeah, 78 years inside the House, one form or the other, and 79 years plus as a party. And the other party has been around for more than 80 years and 78 years in the House as well. And they clearly cannot manage the crime problem. But they do use crime because crime is a tool. Let's see how he's going to use crime as a tool here.
Good morning, His Excellency, the Governor General, the Most Honorable Sir Patrick Allen, declared a state of public emergency in the parishes of Clarendon, St. Catherine, and specified areas in the parishes of Kingston and St. Andrew, and a state of public emergency as well in the parishes of St. James, Westmoreland, and Hanover. So there are two separate declarations of states of public emergency. One we consider to be the Southern Crescent, and the other the Western Tri-Parishes.
Now, the Chief of Defense Staff, she gave further details in terms of which areas will be under the SOE.
The areas under the state of public emergency shall consist of the entire area of land comprising the parishes of Western, Hanover, St. James, Clarendon, and St. Catherine within the established parish boundaries, as well as all the police divisions in Kingston and St. Andrew, except for St. Andrew Central and St. Andrew North.
Earlier, we captured these scenes from St. Catherine and Clarendon. Both parishes, as you know, Shane, have been grappling with crime. In Clarendon, for instance, the police have reported an increase in break-ins, not very encouraging for the business community as they prepare for the Yuletide season, which takes me to my next point. What happens when the SOE expires after the 14 days? Now, that is largely dependent on the opposition. The government will need the support of the opposition in Parliament for the security measure to be extended. Now, of course, more from that press conference in primetime news at 7. O'Shane?
Thanks, Janella. On to other stories. President of the Transport Operator Development Sustainable Service, TODS, Edgerton Newman, says he will be meeting with Transport Minister Audley Shaw at 1 p.m. today to discuss issues that led taxi operators to withdraw their service yesterday. In the meantime, Mr. Newman is calling on transport operators to return to work today if they can. Shamala Pullen reports.
Day 2 of protest action by transport operators who have been calling on the government to grant them a traffic ticket amnesty. But President of the Transport Operator Development Sustainable Service, Edgerton Newman, says he's disappointed as the response the transport operators wanted from the government has not been favorable.
Yesterday, you have made your request known. You have demonstrated your interest in receiving a response from government. You have received a response from government. It is unfortunate. And we now being advised of the interest of government in the public transport sector. And again, I said it's unfortunate.
Mr. Newman says he's also saddened by statements that have been made by some commuters. But he says the association will continue to have dialogue as he will be meeting with Transport Minister Audley Shaw on Tuesday to have further discussion on the issue. In the meantime, he's now calling on transport operators to return to work.
If you decide not to work, it is your right. Please stay home. If you decide to work, please do so. and do so in the usual order that is expected of you. I urge you all to respect the law, and we urge the police to do whatever they can to ensure that the law is upheld.
Despite the outcome, Mr. Newman says the association will continue to fight vigorously to represent operators in the public transportation sector.
There is no respect for this sector, neither from government nor from the people we serve. Nevertheless, we will continue to serve. We ask you, therefore, to bear with us. We ask the community and public to bear with us, because we want to do what is right, to pay our outstanding tickets. We are just asking for time to do so. Nothing is wrong with that, but we are seen as lawful and are lawless, and we understand.
Shamela Pullen, TVJ News.
And ahead of today's meeting with the Taxi Association, Transport Minister Audley Shaw says he's open to some consideration for the disgruntled taxi operators.
Have a certain kind of a payment plan, kind of thing, But Amnesty, we're not going with that. So especially for those with large obligations. So that is something I'm going to be discussing with them today at a meeting.
The opposition spokesman on transport is blaming yesterday's chaos on a lack of policies in the sector. He was speaking on Pauno's.
All right, so there you have it. The Prime Minister refused to respond directly to the request from the public transport operators for an amnesty, and instead has resorted to scaremongering and shifting focus to crime, which he continues to manage, by the way. But he's doing something. You see, this Prime Minister is very tricky. And so tonight I want to unveil you the trick so you can see what is really happening under the radar, because sometimes we don't really see clearly the game which the Prime Minister and his team is playing. But I can see straight through it. I study carefully every move that they make, and I can tell you exactly what is happening here. So this is what is happening. The taxi operators have demonstrated that they're able to shut down the country. If they choose to organize and to unite, the taxi operators and bus operators across the country, all 14 parishes, if they choose to unite, and they have demonstrated yesterday and today that they can unite to a large degree, if not fully, that when they choose to unite, they can bring the Prime Minister to his knees. They can bring the government to its knees. Now, they don't want them to get away with this. They don't want them to spur other sectors, because other sectors are on edge. There are still the teachers, there's still all the public sector workers waiting for their wage bill to be settled, for their concerns about running away inflation that is eroding their purchasing power and pushing more and more middle-class Jamaicans into poverty. So they're feeling the pinch. And they know that Jamaicans are becoming more and more agitated. Now, this Prime Minister has one tool that he always looks to solve every problem: brute force, dictatorship, commands, dictates. So what the Prime Minister is doing, he's using crime to deflect from the strike by declaring a state of emergency while demonizing public transport operators and having his media supporters, the PSOJ-backed media, trying to scapegoat public transport operators as criminal elements themselves. So what the Prime Minister is trying to do now is to make sure that by declaring states of emergencies, he's able to bring out the full force of the army and the police. Yes, the army and the police to lock up protesters, to force protesters off the streets by claiming that he's trying to fix a crime problem created by his party and the other colonial one. Now we have a very weak opposition, and this weak opposition supports the government. Why? They must do that in order to keep the PSOJ funding they will need for the next election. They do not have the spine to stand up to a dictatorial, incompetent, or willfully negligent prime minister and his party. They can't stand up to the party. They can't stand up to the prime minister because they're weak and incompetent themselves. And worse than that, they're held by the neck, by the throat, by the PSOJ oligarchy that funds them. So when the PSOJ tells the opposition to be quiet, to keep it down, don't ruffle too much feathers, because we're all in this. We want this to happen. We want what is going on now to happen. We want the government to crush the people of Jamaica, put them on the heavy manners, and make them know, say, we run things. And so Jamaica, for all intents and purposes, is under a fake democracy and a real dictatorship. And the dictator is the PSOJ, which owns and controls the two parties and the media. If you want to run an effective dictatorship, you must control the media, and you must control the government, and you must control the monetary system. So the PSOJ oligarchy, the banking cartel, they control the Bank of Jamaica, which they have ripped away from the people of Jamaica by getting the government to pass legislations to make it independent. The PSOJ controls the two parties by controlling the purse strings that funds their campaign. The PSOJ oligarchs control the media, and that is why you'll see the media always twist things. You'll see they kind of brought up the UIC very quickly in this particular matter because they saw an opportunity to link us with demonizing the public transport operators, to claim that here are some unlawful, destructive, criminal elements, and the UIC is supporting that. Very subtle, very tricky, but it's not going to work because little by little, the people of Jamaica are becoming more aware. So the Prime Minister has offered amnesty to gunmen. The Prime Minister has offered amnesty to gunmen to bring in their guns without charge. You might recall that the Prime Minister has been buying guns from gunmen. A very foolish policy. You buy the old gun them. Say allow the gunman them to bring in the old gun. He was buying back old gun from the gunmen and give them money so they can go and buy new and more modern weapons. He's offering amnesty to gunmen, but he's not prepared to offer an amnesty to the public transport operators, who, by the way, are the backbone of the Jamaican economy. He's not prepared to sit down and properly negotiate with the public transport operators, who without them, our economy will crash. People need to go to work. People need to go to their businesses. People need to go to school. Yes. But the Prime Minister is prepared to give amnesty to gunmen, but not to our public transport operators, who, in my opinion, are well deserving of the amnesty because they have been wronged by the government, which has failed to put in place an appropriate policy of public transportation that would include proper drop-off and pick-up points that are practical and pragmatic and reasonable, that are designed in the context of our environment, not some wishy-washy idea that doesn't make sense. The SOE, therefore, will be used to employ the army and the police to violate the rights of any protesters, yet again, just like they did when I led the UIC to protest the Prime Minister's attempt to force an injection on the people of Jamaica. It's still Bonnie Missy, because he wanted to inject more than 80-90% of the Jamaican population. And because of the UIC, because of our protest on September 22nd, 2021, we brought out some 500 people in Kingston, he was forced to pause. He was vexed, not vexed enough, vexed, because he couldn't get for juke all the way. He couldn't get to inject all the way to satisfy his foreign master's demands for him to inject all the way so he can get the money that was promised to him. Well, we are not going to stand for this one either. So we're standing with the public transport operators. We're going to provide clarity for the people of Jamaica who may have misunderstood. Because, you know, when your public transportation is disrupted, your first instinct is to blame those who are simply trying to get redress. Let us put the blame where it squarely belongs. A government which majors in stealing, yes, majors in stealing and in the pursuit of power over designing and building a quality public transportation system to serve the needs of the Jamaican people. The UIC is committed to building such a system. Public transportation means transit for public passengers, for public passenger use, as opposed to private travel arrangement. It requires caring and careful public planning, caring and careful policy design, caring and careful enforcement by the government to ensure not only accessibility and efficiency, but also safety, comfort, and respect for the rights of the commuting public to travel free of harassment, including unnecessary noise or music. A good public transportation system is well planned and well managed to ensure all of the above, while costing taxpayers and users of government and so-called independence. Our political leaders have failed to show the competence necessary in this vital area of our lives and economy. No first-class country can operate without a well-planned, well-managed, and well-designed public transportation system. The ability for citizens to travel and move goods and services around the country is vital to our economic development and standard of living. It is as important as our education, healthcare, and security system. And all are dependent on our system of governance. I hope you see what I'm getting at here. Bad governance creates and feeds corruption, and corruption drives up cost and drives down quality. That is why we have a poor quality public transportation system, because of 78 years of bad governance by two parties that have no business sitting in the seat of government. No business. If they were a company, if these two parties was running a company, a for-profit company, where you were a shareholder, where your money was directly on the line, you would not vote for that management team to continue in place. You would vote to fire them But because you never reach into your own pocket and give them the money, sometimes we seem to take it for a joke. We believe we can turn a blind eye to politics and leave it for politicians because we think that by doing so, we are not going to be affected. But we are affected. This is your country. This is your company. This is your business. When you have bad governance, it's everything. It affects your health. It affects your education, your child's education. It affects your community. It affects your housing. It affects your entertainment. It affects your socialization. It affects everything about your quality of life when you have bad governance. And that is why those of us who can always, for the most part, run away from this country, because we all want a decent standard of living. This is why the UIC is so big on good governance as the magic bullet that will fix all the major societal problems we face as a nation and the people. If we want a safe, clean, and orderly country where everyone can live, earn, and retire, we're going to have to get to the heart of the problem. And the problem, my brothers and sisters, our system of governance, and those who continue to protect this bad system in order to protect the avenues of corruption from which they are gaining illicit monetary windfalls. They are profiting from corruption, and so they are protecting it. And all Jamaicans who continue to support these two parties, which they know to be two gangs, which are steeped in corruption, which they know is the genesis of our crime problems, who continue to support these parties are not only a part of the problem, they are the problem. When the UIC forms the government, we will have a public transit system that is designed to work for the citizens. It will consist of a railway system, a ferry system, a bus system, and a taxi system that's all joined into one, scheduled, fully automated, fully coded and designed to ensure efficiency, effectiveness, accessibility, cleanliness, safety, at the lowest possible cost to the users. Because we care. Because we understand the need for this. If you want a thriving economy, you must have the most excellent public transport system you can design. That is why Singapore continues to be a very, very strong and successful country, because they built a solid internal transportation system for their people. If we continue to play dolly house with the lives of the Jamaican people, we're undermining their economic development. When children have to be struggling to get to school because of a bad public transportation system, we're undermining our human development. When taxi operators can't make a decent living by operating decently on our roads, we are eroding the moral fiber of our society. When a public transportation system is inefficient and ineffective, it is lowering our productivity as a nation. And these two parties have taken 78 years to build one of the worst public transportation system the world has ever seen. And to think that before they took over this country fully, there was a well-functioning public transportation system built by our colonial masters. My God, what a disgrace. What a shame. They are telling you and me that we would be better off under the leadership of our colonial masters instead of them. What a crying shame. They could not maintain Air Jamaica. It was profitable, functioning, effective until we, the Jamaican people, took it over fully. What does that tell you? It tells you that we suffer from having some of the worst leaders mankind has ever produced. Their leadership is atrocious. They get a perfect F for failure in the way that they have governed, the way that they have managed, the way that they have designed, the way that they have evolved Jamaica's development as a nation. Under the UIC, our public transport will be clean. It will be quiet and comfortable with a rigid system of time management for predictability. You must be able to set your watch based on the bus that is running on your route, based on the public taxi that is running on your route, depending on the design in your area. You will have on time, you will have predictability, you'll be able to track your bus on your phone. We have the technology and it's no longer expensive. It's very, very cheap and inexpensive technology. And yes, I know I'm giving them ideas, my dear. Many of you keep warning me and telling me not to give them any more ideas. I can't help it. I cannot help just sharing because I wish they would do it. I wish the two parties would drop and lick them head and just start to do the right thing. But let me tell you this. Do not have any expectation of change from these two parties. They have no intention of changing. They cannot change. Them navel string cutter corruption. They have the corruption DNA running through their entire body. Every new convert they take into their party, they convert them from a possible, decent, creative, innovative, law-abiding, law-loving, just person into a quasi-criminal. Everybody. Don't think that there's anybody within those parties that have stayed in those parties that could ever win an election through those parties and ever do any of the things I'm talking about properly. They can't do it. Manley proved that. Manley meant well. Manley wanted the best for the Jamaican people. Manley was a lover of the people. But Manley could not deliver because of the party that he was in and the system he was in. And as long as you keep the parties and keep their system, the colonial system, the master-slave mindset, the colonial mindset that guides them, that cultured them, that they learned, because it them proud enough. That's why P.J. Patterson became a QC, a Queen's Counsel, because he loved the monarchy. He loved what they stood for. That's why Andrew Holness became a Queen's Counsel, because they love the monarchy. They love what they stand for. That's why they have kept their laws on the books. That's why most of our public order laws, most of our other laws are all still the colonial laws. Minor changes here and there. They love the colonial mindset. They love the colonial way. So they can't do no better. They can't change. No matter how much you elect them, no matter which leader they put up, whether they put up a white leader or a black leader, whether they put up a woman leader or a man leader, whether they put up an old leader or a young leader. It doesn't matter what leader they put up. So don't think that because they put a white face in the front of their party, it's going to change anything. Don't think because they put a black face in front of the party, it's going to change anything. It will not change. It has been woman time now, it hasn't changed. It has been young people time now, it hasn't changed. It has been black man time now, it hasn't changed. It has been my leader Barnia, it hasn't changed. It has been I'm going to make money jingle in your pocket, it hasn't changed. It has been prosperity, poverty to prosperity, it hasn't changed. It has been log into progress, it hasn't changed. It has been sweep them out, it hasn't changed. It has been fewer time now, it hasn't changed. It has been we put people first, it hasn't changed. No matter what they put in front of you, no matter what promises they make to you, if you have any sense, you'll see one clear thing. If them couldn't do it in 78 years, no matter what them promise you now, they will not do it. If they couldn't do it, if they didn't do it in 78 years, they will not do it now. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times, I deserve every one of it after that. And so far, they have fooled us 78 times. 78 years of fooling and fooling and fooling and fooling and fooling. My fellow Jamaicans, come on, man. Wake up now. It's time to wake up now. We must wake up now. We must come to our senses now. Don't let the PSOJ oligarchy fool you again. Yes, they're going to give them 30 million again this election. They won't give the UIC any money because they don't want the UIC to win. If the UIC win, the gravy train done. If the UIC win, a people time now. For real. If the UIC win, money going jingling in our pocket now. For real. Because the money not going jingling after them pocket no more the same way. Now them going to have to earn them profits. Yeah? They won't have a government that creates regulations and laws that protects big business and oppress small business. Now they're going to have to compete properly under a UIC government. And we don't have nothing against big business because we want all Jamaicans to become a big business. We want all of us, everybody, to start a small business, make it medium size and make it big, but not because of political corruption. Not because you're able to control government and get them to squeeze out somebody else. You must be able to do it fair and square. The UIC is going to be, we have created a new system of governance that is the Microsoft of politics, that is the Amazon of politics, that is the Apple of politics. We are the Elon Musk of politics. We are innovating and creating a system of governance that the whole world is going to envy. They're going to say, my God, you mean say a little Jamaica had to figure out what good governance really means? How to create a government that protects the life, liberty, and property rights of every citizen equally, that creates an environment that brings out the best in all our people, that ensures that every citizen who wants it can live, earn, and retire with dignity in their own country, a system of equal rights, equal opportunity, and equal justice, a system with the appropriate checks and balances that kick out big money out of the political process, a 100% publicly funded system that is actually transparent, that actually works, that actually allow the poor man to have the same advantage. Or let me put it another way. The rich man have no advantage by his money over the poor man. In our political system, the whole world is going to marvel. The same way they marvel about how good we are in sports. The same way they marvel about how good we are as entertainers. The same way they marvel about how we can cook. Now they're going to marvel about how brilliant we are in building the world's first non-partisan constitutional republic. A true republic, not a fake one like Barbados, not a fake one like Guyana, not a fake one like America, not a fake one like China, but a true constitutional republic, and a non-partisan one at that. We going to do that. We, the Jamaican people, are going to show the world how them can run government. In our public transportation system, the UIC system, seniors, disabled, and students will be treated with special care, and all passengers, including seniors, those who are disabled, and students, will be treated with respect. No more will students be treated as second-class citizens because of the price point that they bring to the table. No more will seniors be treated with disregard and scant regard. No more will the disabled be an outcast in our transportation system. The UIC is going to truly put all of our people first. The rich and the poor and the middle class will enjoy a quality public transportation system that makes it unnecessary for you to own a car unless you really want to buy one. In the UIC system, drivers will be properly trained and heavily incentivized to ensure passenger comfort and safety at all times, because we're going to build a system with the incentives in it that brings out the best in our drivers. If you don't build systems properly, if you build bad systems, you get bad results. It's that simple. If you want to run a great company, you have to build great internal systems in that company. Proper systems of checks and balances, proper systems of incentives and disincentives. You want to disincentivize bad behavior. Look how much ticket them give, and it not disincentivize the bad behavior that they're ticketing. It simply allows them to ticket and ticket and ticket and ticket and ticket till thine kingdom come. Bad system. You want a system that truly incentivizes good behavior and punishes bad behavior. But you have to be competent to do that. You have to want a good quality country to do that. You have to be a leader who cares to do that. You have to be a leader with taste to do that. And our leaders now have no taste. That's why Jamaica is so dirty. That's why for 78 years they have maintained a dirty country. Everywhere you turn dirty, and the Prime Minister come tell us that, guess what? He is ashamed of all the garbage he see in Kingston. And when him learn to have shame, since the UIC start talking about building a safe, clean and orderly Jamaica, since we educate him that Jamaica can be, all of Jamaica can be a tourist destination, every single community can be clean, every community can be made beautiful, every community can look like a tourist destination. I went to Bahamas, I think 2 years ago. It was such a beautiful sight to walk on their normal everyday street, and it clean, pretty, decent, attractive. And we have had the same two parties sucking $900 billion out of our economy every single year. Hard-working Jamaicans paying 30, 40, 50% of their income in taxes, through all kinds of taxes. Every poor people in Jamaica pay tax. Every time they go to the store and buy something, they pay 15% in taxes in GCT. Everybody in this country pay tax. If they get little money from overseas and go buy something, them pay tax. So all the way a taxpayer. And this government sucks billions of dollars out of us and give us a dirty country year after year after year and then come talk about he's ashamed. We don't want your I am ashamed, Prime Minister. We want to see your back. It's time for you and those who have disregarded and disrespected us to leave and let people who care about this country, people who care about a decent environment, people who care about making all Jamaicans prosperous, not just themselves, let those people run this country. You go into your nice big house, crawl in through your gate and close it behind you and live inside there with your nice high wall and your beautiful home and leave us. We'll fix the problem. We'll fix the mess that you have created. We'll fix the mess that you, all of UNO, the two parties that have been around for 78 years, we'll fix up the mess. We'll clean up this country. Those of you who are now prime ministers, past prime ministers, enjoying your beautiful pension of a prime minister's salary, thanks to a corrupt former prime minister who changed the law to do so. You who are enjoying your pension, you should be ashamed. I don't see how any prime minister, former prime minister of Jamaica, can be proud. I don't see how any former prime minister can be proud of the Jamaica that they left. Then they come back and start to talk all kind of foolishness, doing lectures, telling us about how Jamaica has failed in education, failed in crime, failed in economics, and having their big talk and sprouting their big numbers and all kind of stuff. They have failed, not Jamaica. They are the failures of Jamaica. But anyways, under the UIC's system of a new public transportation system, vehicle licensing will focus on driver training, vehicle fitness, and customer rating of performance. What do I mean by all of this? We're going to change the system so that you no longer have corruption in vehicle fitness. I will not tell you, Mr. Prime Minister, what the answer is. I won't tell you this one. I'm going to leave you to figure it out. It's very easy. It doesn't require a science degree. It doesn't require to be a rocket scientist. It's really very easy. But then again, it's not that you might not know, you don't care. Because from what I can see, all the government policies we have seem to be carefully designed to encourage and facilitate corruption. So we're going to change the system to be anti-corrupt in terms of licensing, vehicle fitness. We're going to put the customer in the driving seat now in terms of rating performance. We're going to show you ways in which we're going to fully incentivize those who work in the industry will be highly incentivized to do the right thing, because the cost of doing the wrong thing will be quite punitive. We understand also the need to ensure proper passenger fares that are set based on core cost standardization plus negotiated margins to ensure fairness to both the users and the operators. We're going to ensure we have a code of conduct that will be enforced for all parties, including users, operators, inspectors, and police officers, and a new system of feedback loops that will make it very difficult for anyone to get away with doing the wrong thing. Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come for us to have a new Jamaica, a Jamaica that brings out the best in all its people. And the only way for us to have that Jamaica is for us to vote out these two parties, elect the UIC, and allow the Jamaican people, for once and for all, to see, understand, and enjoy good governance. That's why I'm here. That's why the UIC is here. And for us to do that, we need you to do one thing, and one thing only. Donate to the UIC $250 a week. That's all. 250 Jamaican dollars a week. That's all you need to donate to the UIC so that we will have the funds to represent you. Consider us your lawyer. If If you want a good lawyer, you have to pay for it. Pay us to work for you. The PSOJ oligarchs pay the two parties to work for. They've done a marvelous job. They made them very wealthy. They've made the banks of Jamaica billions of dollars. They have made the richest companies in Jamaica billions of dollars. And they've also made our colonial masters billions of dollars. Every time your government goes and borrow money, locally or internationally, they are making billions of dollars for these people at your expense and my expense. That is why I have devoted my life and risked my family and depleted my financial resources to give us an opportunity to create a new and better Jamaica. So, every one of you, if you want a better Jamaica, you need to step up, come to the table, and join hands with me and all the other supporters and members of the UIC and give 250 Jamaican dollars a week. And if you're overseas, I'm asking you to join the club of 1,000 Jamaicans giving $25 a month. Once we get to that 1,000, you'll be assured of a candidate in every single division, every single constituency. That's not a lot of money in the grand scheme of things, but it's enough for us to be able to deliver for you and give you that Jamaica that you deserve and want. Okay? Thank you very much for being with us again tonight, and I look forward to being with you again tomorrow for another episode of MEK We Fix Jamaica. Have a good night, and God bless. Remember, one UIC, one Jamaica, stronger together. Take care. All the best. Oh, before I go, Mrs. Patterson, how are you doing backstage?
I'm doing good.
All right. Sorry for keeping you on so long. But, JMH wants us to rate the show. So I'll let you do the honors of asking people how we did from 0 to 100. Go ahead, my dear.
Okay, everyone, we'd like you to do the rating for tonight's program. So I believe we have moved from the 1 to 10, so now it's 0 to 100. So go for it. Let's vote and see what it is tonight. While the people are voting, Joseph, would you mind if I share a quote, just a quotation? I'm a quotation buff, so I would just like to share one, and I think it's fitting. It was a great program tonight, and so this one is from a movie that we watched a long time ago, but I think it's such a beautiful and powerful quote, and it says, "Life is a storm, my young friend. You will bask in the sunlight one moment, be shattered on the rocks the next. What makes you a man is what you do when the storm comes. There is nothing impossible to him who will try."
Oh, wonderful. It reminds me of a quotation from, I think it was Martin Luther King. He says, "The true measure of a man is not where he stands in the moment of peace and tranquility, but where he stands in the moment of trial, the moment of a challenge." And so I challenge all of you tonight, in your comfort, those of you who are comfortable right now, that's not a true measure of your character. A true measure of your character is how you will rise to the challenge of helping us to help those of us who are not so comfortable in this country of ours. Thanks again, Mrs. Patterson. Thanks for being on tonight. And I hope, by the way, you'll join me for more of these talks. Will you? Okay. She's saying yes. Oh my goodness. Well, thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it. And thanks to all of you who have been on tonight. It's always a pleasure. Take care and have a good night until we talk again. All the best.